All right, and here we are again. Mirka Farabegoli, welcome to the podcast. José Witteveen, welcome to the podcast, to my podcast studio. Thank you very much for doing this. This is great. This is the second time we're trying this because before the cat was trying to eat the decor in here, so that was not very good. So we're gonna try this again. Sorry about that. And so we were just talking about you guys being both visual artists, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you just came back from Sicily,
Yep.
Salina. And maybe just we can give a recap again very briefly how you guys met and how the whole story started, and then we just take it from there.
Yeah. So we
Thank
used
you.
to be in a relationship. No.
Ooh la la.
No. I actually liked the cat in the background, but of course it's a bit noisy. But it's a beautiful cat. You guys
It is,
got
yes.
a very beautiful cat. But he's a monster.
Definitely.
I'm a bit scared of him. Yeah.
You should be.
Yeah.
I've seen things.
He stars in both your Instagram feeds.
Yes,
I've noticed.
yes.
Yeah, he's very charming.
He's
charming
getting
cat.
he's getting more likes than I do, so
Sorry?
he's getting more likes than I do, so that's fine. I'm not jealous.
That's usual with cats.
I don't care.
I'd say. Yeah. Does that happen in your Instagram feed as well?
I don't know.
She's got people managing her Instagram feed, you know. She's not even looking at it herself.
Aliens are managing your Instagram.
Right.
How did we meet, José? Should I just tell the whole story again, or what do you reckon?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
do it again.
I just told it so beautifully.
I know, it's just perfect.
I
I know.
can't do. Okay, I'll try. So, yes. So, to be clear, I think you could tell from my last name, I'm not completely Dutch. I'm half Italian, half Dutch.
Farabegoli sounds very, very Dutch.
Yeah, totally. You picture windmills and clogs and everything. No, so my dad's Italian, my mom's Dutch,
Mhm.
but I grew up in Holland, and so did José. But she lives in Rome now. I still live in Holland. But we grew up in the same region in Friesland in the north, and we never met each other back when we were growing up.
It is a pity.
Yeah. What age were you when you left?
16.
Yeah, you're very young. Yeah,
And I'm 2 years older than you.
to
No?
Amsterdam, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I left when I was like 19. Yeah, something like that.
Yep.
To Barcelona. So anyway, years later, when you were in your mid to late 20s, I was in my mid 20s. We were both working as printmakers, and as a printmaker, basically, you need printing presses, all kinds of materials.
Right.
So few printmakers, some printmakers have their own material, but you have printmaking studios pretty much all over the world. You've got them in Rome, as in Holland. And what happened was that I was living in the center of Holland in a place called Arnhem, and I didn't really have a place to go to. And I was looking for a place to work, and then I found out that there was this really nice printmaking studio in the north. And I ended up going there. And I walk in, and there's this girl with this really cool green apron with white polka dots and completely covered in ink, her hands covered in ink. And I was like, oh, she's cool. I wanna get to know her. And we ended up working in that studio for a while and getting to know each other. And yeah, that's how we became friends. And years later, José is living in Rome by that time. And I'm still in Holland, but we're still in contact. And then she gets the invite to go to Selina, and she asked me to come along.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes, this was very intense.
I heard you almost died. Let's start with the dramatic story. Dun, 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 dun.
No, let's not start with that.
Okay, let's not start with that.
No, it was very intense. A lot of different kind of impressions, and sometimes very in contradiction with each other. All the different stories we heard. Of course, it's normal when you speak with different kind of people from different backgrounds, different ages, and and it's also a bit like one big fairy tale on this island, a bit dark fairy tale, because also a lot of how do you say it? A lot of absurd stories also, but also beautiful stories and strong stories, and especially there was a big community of women on this island. Still is. Also the residence is run by women. Well, we are women being there, so it was very feminine. Yeah. But also,
where are all the men?
Well, they are there, but yes, or they are completely obsessed with women, or they are.
You can tell that they've got a history. Of course, there a lot of people who lived in Selina had to move out to find their fortune, because they went through quite a stage of poverty.
How many people live there, more or less? Do you know that?
Actually, no idea.
At the moment, I think around 4,000.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's check it out.
Yeah.
Let's see, Salina.
Yeah. Apparently, it really depends. Also, there's a lot of people who have a house in Salina, but who don't stay there in the winter. So they go maybe to Sicily or some other place in the winter.
Oh, Salina. Let's see. You're in islands in the north of Sicily. Yeah, currently approximately 4,000 residents living on the island.
Yeah, and it's got 4 main villages. Hang on, no, it's got Salina, Santa Marina, Salina, and Lingua, which are close to each other. Then there is Capofaro, Malfa, Pollara, Val di Chiesa, and what's the last name? The one on the other side of the island. Can you see that?
Well,
I don't remember the last name. But there's several villages. So there's about 20 kilometers of roads connecting all of them. It's not an extremely small island. It's not very big either, but 4,000 people, it's not that much if you think about it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you got some inspiration for your art there. So how does an artist residence work anyway? Like I'm just a musician, so is it like a boot camp, like you guys hang out there with artists and just get inspired and exchange information, or you just wander off and try to find material for your research, or what's going on there?
Well, it really depends. There's so many different kind of residencies, and in this case, it was a very generous residence. So we stayed in a very beautiful place. We got all the workspace. We got our primary needs. And then all the freedom to just collaborate together, to collaborate with other people. Actually, a very idealistic situation for an artist to have a residence, because there are many stories where people have not a great resources, not the great ingredients like we have. We are very lucky. And we also felt that way, that we were very, very, very lucky in this project. And also the girls, the ladies who initiate this, and they are very interested in what we're going to do. In that kind of way, they give us a lot of space. Also, they think it's gonna be a big thing, and for us that's great, no? That they and I also feel that it's gonna be great. Also, we're thinking about involving a third person who's gonna do something with the stories, with the poems, with making poems, writing stories, because there's so many material there to write like 100 books about, or to do something with. So we're thinking about that, but well, there is many seeds now planted to grow a lot. Yeah.
That's great.
The girls gave a lot of trust.
Yes.
So it's basically two quite young girls who they used to have a gallery space in Rome, and they're still doing artistical projects in Rome and exhibitions, but they don't have a fixed location anymore. One of them, her family is originally from Salina. So the residency actually, there's a pretty amazing story behind the building where we were staying. It was her great-grandfather's. He created that place for his family. And what happened is he went off to war. It was the early 1900s. He went off to fight in Macedonia. And while he was off fighting, the Spanish flu happened.
Oh, right. Okay.
So
it's killed so many people.
Yes, and pretty much everyone on the island, most people who were there, they died.
Wow.
So he came back and he found his entire family decimated.
But he survived, but okay.
Because he was off fighting the war.
Right.
So he was off. When he came back, he found the house empty because everybody had died. He sealed off the house and he bought another house just a few streets away. And he ended up living there with his family. And the house where we stayed, it stayed sealed off and empty for over 80 years. And then Elettra, who is one of the girls who runs the residency, and her mum, they went and they opened up the house again. And they had this dream to turn it into a special kind of building. So they wanted to share, they wanted it to be a place where people could meet each other. And they called it Amane, which is apparently a Tuareg word from this sort of nomad tribe from Africa. And it means something like meeting, encounter. Elettra's mom has a connection to Africa.
Amane.
So, Amane, yes. And basically, their dream was to turn it into a space where people could share, could meet.
Especially after something so horrible happens.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Imagine you go off to fight at war and you are there for years and you see all the death and you come back home and you survived.
Yeah.
Against all odds, and then everybody you know is
exactly.
not there anymore.
I think you'd think you're the one who might pass away, not survive, and your family would be okay. But
that must be brutal.
Yeah.
And so they basically tried to take this place and turn it into something positive after all that would happen with the history it has.
Yeah. And they made they did such a great job. They made a beautiful space. The house is amazing. It's a beautiful old house. It's on the main street of the village. It's got these massive high ceilings. I think they're like at least 4 meters high. There's a bookshop downstairs run by a very special woman, Antonella. She is the godmother of Elettra. She's one of the best friends of Elettra's mom who opened up the place. And then there's the gallery, and upstairs is the residency. And the house, it doesn't feel like a place with bad energy, right? I mean,
well, they completely transformed it probably.
No, there are some older generation who are afraid of the house, but we don't. We also not that kind of person who are busy with this kind of things, but we don't feel. No, we
you mean like superstitious people that believe still in the old spirits or something?
Yes, we felt.
Oh, I can be scared in houses, but I didn't feel.
Are you
scared
superstitious?
In this house. I think so.
Do you believe in spirits?
I think so. I
ghosts,
mean, yeah.
Goblins.
I don't know. I cannot really say I believe in. I don't believe in the kind of ghosts that you would see in an American horror movie, but I do remember feeling uneasy in houses, like feeling that there's not a nice
the feeling
vibe.
is definitely there. I think.
Yeah.
But I think it's like probably a biological reaction that you have because evolution of. It makes sense from an evolutionary perspective that if you walk around at night, you don't see what's gonna get you, that you're gonna be a bit more afraid of it. So I think it's probably something that's deeply rooted inside of us. So yeah. What do you think about it?
About?
You're using this massage ball here, like this here. Let's see if you can see it. Show it into the camera here. There we go. So this here, just in case you were wondering, it's not a stress ball, but it's a. I'm not sure if I can say the company. I'm not being sponsored by them. Anyways, blackroll.com. There we go. I said it. Better pay me now. And it's basically for your neck. If you wanna fix your muscle.
Right.
Oh, and here's me thinking it was some kind of kinky sex toy.
Nope, totally not. How could that be a sex toy? How would you use that?
Well, have you ever gone into one of those sex stores in Amsterdam?
No. Maybe once or twice.
I have, and you see dildos that are the size of skyscrapers. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's somebody out there who can fit this in some orifice or other. Yeah. No. But now that you tell me that it's a massage thing, I can imagine it.
It's
nice.
great. It's like you basically you lie on it, like you lie on it with your back, and you basically roll on top of it, and your body weight drags you down. This one here is a bit complicated. Like if you're not used to it, you should start with a normal roll that doesn't have this shape because it's gonna hurt. Yeah. If you're not used to it, so yeah, it's great.
So anyway, it's kind of S&M.
You can play with it again. There you go.
Anyway.
So you had this great experience in Salina, and you told me about the bookstore. So you told me about the history of the place. You there's
more. You say the story about the woman, the aunt.
Yes.
What do you reckon? That's. Oh, you want to tell that story?
Antonella.
No. Antonella.
She's great. Sorry.
Antonella is still very much alive. No, these are stories about dead people.
Yes, and Antonella has also a very beautiful life story, but that is
actually.
But that is something to tell in a different kind of way. But do you want to tell the story about the aunt? You're a better storyteller than me.
No, that's not true. But you could. It's true. Antonella, the woman who runs the bookshop, you could dedicate an entire podcast.
Yes.
To her. Yeah.
She is a very interesting, beautiful person.
Okay.
Yeah. But did we mention that we were talking about the women before, right?
Yes, and the lack of men thereof.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think I didn't really find out why there is still so many female-run businesses on the island now. But historically speaking, a lot of men had to go away to work elsewhere. So they ended up in Belgium, they ended up in Australia, the States, in Varese in the north of Italy.
Okay, yeah.
The girls at the residency and Antonella, who runs the bookshop, who has all these amazing books also about Selina, they told us a lot. And they told us also about women practically taking over all the stuff that needed to be done because the men
what happened to the men?
working.
Like, you just shut off and then they just forgot about it, or?
Well, no, they went off to work, so they were away maybe for years to work elsewhere to make money, and in the meantime, the women had to take care of the kids. They had to keep everything going. So there's a lot of stories, not just on Salina, but on the other islands about the women going out fishing. And Antonella showed us these videos from, I don't know, the 20s or the 30s. And you see these women in these fishing boats, and there's a woman of almost 100 years old rowing the boat and fishing. And yeah. Oh, man, it's amazing. So strong, so inspiring as well. It makes you kind of feel like a wuss.
You probably all are compared to them, you know.
My God, yeah.
No, and then there are so many ingredients for fairy tales, no? The stories of the woman, and then already there are stories about witches, but then you also have the special place where it's all the cats, where all the cats gather, the cat square, and there was a man who only eats soap.
What?
For example.
Soap or soup?
Soap.
Okay, he's still alive?
No.
What do you mean he only ate soap? Like, it's a story, or did you actually meet a guy who only ate soap?
No, it's a story. It's a story.
Ah, okay. What's the story?
Soap.
No, so he's eating only. Like, do you remember the story?
Yes, it's just that.
Ah, okay. There's no story behind it. It's just eight soap.
It's just eight soap.
Okay.
Well, it's all connected. It apparently,
Kind of a lame story.
there are several stories of people on the island who went a bit bonkers mentally, and some say it's the sun being too strong.
Like back then, when after the man left, or
some of the stories we heard were from long ago. There was a story of a woman who went a bit crazy because her man had left to the United States to work, and he was sending her money and presents, and she was there in Salina waiting for him to come back someday, I guess, or at least thinking that everything was all right. And then one day she gets this message that he died, he passed away.
Okay.
And then later on she finds out that he in fact didn't die. He just started a whole new life with another woman. And that kind of drove her insane. So she took all the stuff. She had these big wooden chests where she was keeping all the presents and the money. And she dug these massive holes in the garden, and she buried everything. And then she refused to eat anything else than milk and bread, right? And the only thing she did all day was wash her white sheets.
Well, I'm telling you, the Sicilians are very emotional, passionate people. Like my father is from Sicily. I got a whole part of the family that's Sicilian, and I.
So you know what we're talking about.
I can confirm.
No,
so what's your dad like then?
My father.
Does he eat soap? No.
He doesn't eat soap. He wouldn't get. He uses it for the appropriate uses as it is destined for. So.
But he's an emotional person.
Oh, very emotional. Yeah.
We actually met a guy who really reminded me of your father.
Really?
But to come back to this story about this when we just heard this kind of stories when we just arrived in the first and the second day, we heard all these stories from mainly Elettra, and for example, this story about the woman who then only washes white sheets, drinking milk, only eating bread. It's almost like I can imagine that when an artist who works mainly with performance, for example, immediately would go very strong to this story because it's such a story with, well, actually maybe it's also too much already there. Actually, things are already there, so the island is already full of this kind of stories which you need to discover, which are already on sich. How do you say it? It's already in itself. It's already something, you know. It's already an object of absurdity sometimes, but also just basically the history also. But well.
Yeah, true. But it almost, you're right. It's almost like she already was doing an art performance.
Yes, exactly. Yes, yeah.
It's a very poetic kind of action. It's like she. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking a lot about this story. The element of it's almost like she's trying to cleanse herself, like she's doing some kind of cleansing ritual with just the milk and the bread, and cleaning these sheets all day long, and kind of burying everything that connects her to her husband that betrayed her, basically. And it's like, maybe, I wonder, because maybe to the outside world it looked like she went insane, but maybe for her it was a type of therapy, you know? It reminded me a lot of this guy Alejandro Jodorowsky. Have you heard about him? He's a guy from Chile, and he's been a lot of things in his life. Amongst others, he studied to be a mime actor. He was involved a lot with poetry. He had a lot of friends who were poets.
That's the guy, right?
That's him, yeah. But he also wrote. He knows a lot about tarot. He wrote storylines for comic books. He's made movies.
29, still alive.
He's still alive. He's very interested in shamanism, in Mexican and South American shamanism, but also in Zen Buddhism. He's a very, very curious, interesting figure.
Psychologist, psychoanalyst even.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But the thing that he had this thing that he would call poetic acts, and he started doing them when he was a very young guy with his friends in Chile.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was that he decided to walk in a straight line through the city.
Okay.
So he was with his friend, and they decided, okay, we're just gonna walk in a straight line, and they had to climb fences and walls, and they had to knock on people's doors to go through the house, and that sort of started as a playful thing, but he developed it in a kind of therapeutic sense.
Yes.
So people would come to him with their problems, and a lot of them were connected to problems that were in the family and were kind of passed on from generation to generation. And he would devise a poetic act for them that would help them to overcome this trauma or this problem.
Mm-hmm.
So he would kind of invite them to do a kind of art performance almost, but connected to their own life story. And this story of this woman cleaning the sheets and drinking the milk and eating the bread. It's almost like it was something that he could have devised for her.
Right.
Yeah, he's an interesting character. He's a bit eccentric, but there's a lot of interesting stuff to learn from his own life. There's a few books out that tell about his life story. I definitely advise people to check it out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you pronounce his name Alejandro Jodorowsky.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Nice. All right. Very good. So, so you saw cats. Now, I want to really hear about this volcano story, though.
Well, it's not really interesting, actually.
Well, you almost died. I don't know.
No, it was just.
Oh, it felt like probably was a bit exaggerated.
I don't. Well, it's just that you decide to do this. You decide to go to Stromboli to also experience.
Which is one of the volcanoes of Italy, one of the three active ones.
Yes, and I already didn't really like the idea to do this because I really don't like touristic trips, and I don't want to say much about it. I just want to say that if you ever decide to climb Stromboli, pay attention that it's very touristic, because you're walking in groups, and then one group you arrive, and then 50 minutes later another group arrives, and it's quite heavy. If you have high fever like I have, then it's quite a challenge.
Vertigo.
Yes.
Okay.
But what I wanted to say about this is that we were in this village, we experienced a little bit, and now we are very curious to stay also here. Next time when we come back, we want to stay at least 1 or 2 nights there, because there's also a lot to discover, and it's more a raw kind of place. Yeah. I mean, in this trip, even it was touristic, we saw the two different kind of opposites. We were on this island where only celebrities come. We also saw this very famous model from Friesland called Doutzen Kroes, who calls her children, the children still call her Mem, which is Mama for Frisian, so that was cute to hear this. But we saw this extremely famous model in this place, which is very ugly. Well, it's very beautiful in a way. Most people would find it beautiful because it's like paradise. The blue sea, the houses, the setting. But in a way, for us, well, for me, it is very ugly. It's just like this.
Like a theme park.
Yes, it's like a theme park. Yeah. There's no life there, no real life. And then you come to Stromboli, which is completely the opposite, because there it's very raw. It's you feel like people live there, and then only touristic business there is that the tourists get tortured by walking up this volcano. Yeah. Yeah.
So how was the view from up there? Did you see the lava and everything?
Yeah, we saw the lava.
Nice?
I have never seen a volcano being active in my whole life, and was for you also the first time?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very impressive to see this nature phenomenon. Yeah. But it's only not nice to see it in such a touristic way, but it's nice to experience it. Yeah.
I mean, Italy is a ticking time bomb. We got 3 volcanoes that are all just waiting for the next big bang, you know. Like the Etna just this year was the end of last year that the Etna was the other volcano in Sicily was erupting.
Oh, really?
Yes. Well, it was not. It erupts continuously, but it was. Then you have the Stromboli, just not too far away, and then you go up, and the really big one is the Vesuvio. Not really. Well, the Vesuvio is not really even the biggest problem that they have up there. The biggest problem is I think it's called the phlegmatic. Let me check this out. It's a whole region, basically, that houses a super volcano below it.
Oh my God!
Exactly.
Because actually, Stromboli is not that dangerous.
No, Stromboli no.
It's funny because it's probably one of the most active volcanoes. Like it's got constant activity. There are constant eruptions, but there are two villages on the island, and they're fine. And this island has been inhabited for forever, basically.
Okay.
I think back in Neolithical times there were people there already. It's been a very important strategical island. So the Greeks were there, the Romans were there, because you can see the mainland. It's a very, very important strategical point. But the volcano, when it erupts, it always ends up on one side of the island. So the villages have never really been in danger of getting destroyed. Worst thing that might happen is that one big rock gets catapulted and it ends up on top of one of the houses. Yeah.
No, there's this thing called I'm not sure if I pronounce this properly, but the Flegreian fields. Flegreian. All right, I'm totally mispronouncing this here. Anyway, but
Campi Flegrei.
Grazie. Thank you very much. And this one apparently is like a super volcano just slumbering below the entire area. And apparently, if this one erupts, I read, most of Europe is going to be screwed, basically, because the dust. Yeah, because basically the dust, the whole the smoke and the what do you call it, the
debris,
the ashes that goes into the atmosphere. It's gonna basically block off the sun in most places. Yeah.
Holy shit!
This one, exactly.
Can I swear on this podcast?
You can do whatever you want. It's gonna be marked as explicit on iTunes anyway,
okay.
So you can do whatever you want. Let me see if I find this here. Most recent history, Caldera, cultural importance. Let's see, Flegra. Maybe if I Google this here, Flegreian fields. Let's
no
see.
wonder Italians
Danger.
are so passionate and.
Okay, so I'm just going to take the first one here.
If you're living on a field like that, it must have an influence, right?
Yeah, warning. Yes. There we go. Warning. Italian supervolcano is becoming more dangerous as magma builds beneath surface. I mean, this is from 2017, so. But it's showing signs of eruption. It has been dormant since the 1980s, but it's awoke from the decades-long slumber last year. And if you're monitoring the whole thing, and if here's, let's see. Deep rocks blocked. Experts say now the magma has migrated to different location. Okay, whatever. Let's see if we can come to the point here. This is a lot of text for.
And if you want to know how to lose 4,300 something calories, you can also learn that of this website. I always get so distracted by all the advertisements.
Okay. Anyway, this is super interesting. I don't find anything interesting here now on the fly, but basically this is a.
We're fucked.
If this one,
basically we're fucked.
We're totally screwed if this one erupts. Exactly.
Yes, we're screwed.
I mean, we're not gonna be screwed here in Rome.
Okay, let's just stop this podcast. Why are we even doing this podcast?
Exactly, we're gonna die anyway.
We're gonna die.
Oh, we all die anyway. Yeah. Eventually, we all die at different rates, you know.
Any last wishes?
I want to have one last sip of birra Messina.
Yeah, how's the beer?
Awesome.
Salvo. Salvatore. I always want to call you Salvo. But
Salvo, Sal, or Sal.
Sal. How's the beer, Sal?
It's nice. It's the wrong glass. It's a Beck's glass, but it's a. Did you know the story of birra Messina? I don't know the exact details of the whole story, but who cares about details these days?
But how's the beer?
The beer is nice. It's I mean, it should be probably a bit cooler, and I think it tastes different if you drink it in Sicily.
Can I just have a tiny sip
totally.
to
To
So
just
does it taste different than we?
Yes.
it tastes different in Sicily. I knew it.
Yeah. You're right.
Wanna try? There you go.
Well, I don't taste too much anyway, so I could not tell the difference.
It doesn't taste as special, but there's salt in this beer. That's what makes it special,
I
right?
taste the
Have you-
salt.
have you-
There
have
is
you-
salt in the beer.
Where's the camera?
The camera now, yeah, there you go.
It's
It's
a
not
bit-
in focus. It's out
oh,
of focus,
sorry.
but yeah.
Well, this beer, it's got a beautiful label, and
And I would
it's
like
got
to.
salt
I would like
crystals.
to make it clear we are not being paid by Birra Messina.
No, we're not. But if you want to send us some free
So
beer,
apparently-
then go ahead.
Apparently, this whole company Birra Messina was bought off by a Dutch company.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, don't tell me it's Heineken. Please tell me it's
It
not
was Heineken, yes.
No,
Oh,
no. I
So-
just thought
That just ruined it.
that it was.
Wait. But there's more to it, because basically what happened is, like it's not Heineken. What's the company called? That's let's see. It's a subsidiary of Heineken, I think. Birra Messina. Let's see. Wikipedia. Wiki knows everything. There we go. This is the. Yeah, here we go. So, here's the story of. No, this is Birra Moretti. What Birra Moretti is also bought by Heineken. Heineken owns everything. It's incredible.
Monopoly.
Yeah.
So here's the Italian version of the article. So I'm going to translate that on the fly. Birra Messina is one of the historical brands of Sicily. In 1988, it was bought off by the Heineken Italy Group. So it was founded in 1923. But what happened is basically, a guy told me, I'm not going to go through this article here now, that they started producing the beer themselves because Heineken basically moved the production outside of Sicily.
Oh.
And so they moved everything outside, so it's not even Sicilian anymore. And so people complained about it, and a group of, I think, ex-factory workers, they basically started reproducing the beer themselves with their own recipe, with a historical recipe. And they called it La Birra del Stretto, as I understand. So the beer of the, what do you call the, Lo Stretto, what's the Stretto in English?
di Messina, the oh my god, it's like the straight? I think it's
Let's see,
straight.
Stretto di Messina. Sometimes it just happens when you live abroad. Strait of Messina, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Totally right.
So it's
So-
basically what separates Sicily from the Italian
The
mainland.
mainland, exactly, yes.
And it's really fun because if you're coming in by train, the whole train goes onto this ferry,
Yeah.
and it's sort
It's
of
gotta be weird
yeah,
to look at.
it's weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the night train, came by night train, and we wake up early in the morning,
Mhm.
and we had two other companies in our where we slept in the wagon.
Like
And,
the night cabin.
cabin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were two girls in there.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And they went away and left their stuff, and I was like, speaking in my bad Italian, like, why are you leaving? And they just said coffee, and I said, okay, you go outside for coffee, and
Mhm.
you leave your stuff. And then I realized that we were on a boat. I did not realize
Yeah.
myself that.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really funny. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But they called it Birra dello Stretto? or-
Birra dello Stretto, yes, and then I think they got sued or something. I'm not sure what exactly happened there. But now, basically, I believe that Heineken has just agreed to move back to
Yeah, 'cause-
Sicily, to
'cause-
move back and to use the old recipe again. And I think this one
Yeah.
here is probably already a result of that.
Because it says
With the old recipe, with the salt.
made in the
Sounds- it
breweries
sounds
of
weird.
Massafra and Messina.
Yes.
So it should be made.
Because I think a
Yeah.
court actually ruled that. They should not. That they are misleading people by calling it Birra Messina, and so I think that's one reason why they are coming back now.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Well,
So all is good.
Yeah.
All is good. All right. So what's the next move?
I think I think we need to sort of let everything mull over everything that we've seen and heard and talked about. You know? How do you feel, José? I feel like I need to. I'm not completely even aware that I'm not on the island anymore. How do you feel?
Yes.
I mean, you just got back here just basically a couple hours ago, so probably you're still in a travel mood. Still have to arrive, jet lagged.
Still very cloudy and feels like we're gonna. Gaan beleven een nieuw avontuurtje.
New adventure.
No, it's I am too cloudy to see things clear. So much things happen, so much things to transfer, so much things to think about, so much things to transfer. Sorry.
Can I have that? Thank you very much.
Also, this is also very strange to me to do a podcast, but
it's an experience, though, isn't it?
The nice thing I think is that I hear the sounds more intense. No, that's nice. You hear all the sounds different. So that's
it's the headphones, you know. It's a
people
miraculous invention.
People should always do like you should do sometimes that people just when they come together that they just put on the headphones and feel like this because it's a different kind of experience to have conversation. It feels like we are in a different kind of space, you know. It's nice.
Well, that's what I like about doing this podcast, because actually you really are forced to listen to the other person, and you really are in a way forced to really be there focused with the other people. And the headphones of course help because you really are self-aware, you hear yourself, you got the cameras all over.
You cannot escape.
All over the place, you can't escape, no.
Yeah. I like it with the Zoom. It's this tiny little recording device, the one that we've also used on the island to record the interviews and the sounds. And you can just hook up your headphones. And when I just got it, I would walk around. It's got 4 mics, so you can have these 4 channels recording, and it comes with a little stick, so you can sort of hold it up and you don't hear because otherwise you hear your hands touching the device and it's like this.
Yeah,
it's
right.
really annoying.
Yeah.
And I would just put on my headphones and walk around with it outside.
Nice. Yeah.
And it's like having this super hearing. So I would hear people having dinner and sort of the sound of the glasses and the cutlery, and it's really interesting experience.
What Zoom are you using? The H1 or a newer model?
It's an old one. I don't know. It's this silver, just simple silver one. Yeah.
Could be the H1. Yeah. I think it's called H1. I'm not sure.
Probably. Yeah.
I think I got one of those two somewhere. So it's useful for recording band rehearsals. You know, after listen to it afterwards. Yeah. Get mad at single elements of the band.
But no, but it's intensity. But also, the strange thing is that all the 2 weeks we both wake up every time between 6 and 7.
While you were there?
Yeah, very early.
Did the sun rise earlier there, or?
No, it's.
But we even had the shutters closed often, so it wasn't a lot.
Okay.
Because I wake up very easily from light, but it wasn't just that.
No.
We also went to bed way earlier than usual.
But I think it's also evolutionary thing that when you're not in your natural habitat, let's say, that you are much more sensitive to anything around you, sounds and to noises, to smells. So you kind of are hyperactive.
That's true.
Your brain is more alert.
We're not used to we sleep in the same bed. Also, you have to get used to that, no? But
it's like okay.
Well, but for 2 weeks he was my wife.
How did it go?
Just fine. Don't worry, Salvatore.
I'm not worried at all.
I didn't do anything.
No problem at all.
No. But the sea.
I'm not judging.
Good.
We sleep naked though.
All right, good to know.
But the sea, we could hear the sea. You would lie in bed with we had oh my God, it was so. Oh,
that's
just
nice.
to be able to hear the sea, it's such a. I'd recommend anybody who has any signs of stress or burnout, just go somewhere where you can hear the sea all day long. it's the best
but
medicine.
but not in high season, because we were there and there were almost no tourists, almost nothing.
Okay.
But when you come there in summer, it's full of tourists.
Yeah.
And the people who live on the island, they hate it also.
Really?
So you have to be careful that.
I'm sure they have like a love-hate relationship like everywhere, no? That they need tourists, I suppose, in a way, but
to make the
if it's
money,
too
yes,
much,
to make the money. But it's we talked a lot about this, not a lot, but we talked about this phenomenon, this tourism, because there was some tourism, and there was this specific couple which I made a whole photo session of, because it was an idealistic situation, perfect light, the background, the sea, and they were sitting there, this couple, only busy with their cell phone. And I made a whole series of this. And later, it's funny, because later we met this couple.
Sorry, you were saying?
Later we met this couple. It's not funny. Later we met this couple who, because we never took the bus. We always went hitchhiking. Right. And then one time during hitchhiking, we met this couple who showed us the whole island, and they showed us also a place where there is this spa, and there was nobody in the spa except this same couple, which I make a whole photo session of. And it's almost like this. For me, it feels almost like this couple is not really there. It's like just like
they were on their phones, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they were in the
hot tub on their phone, and also there in this beautiful idealistic view.
But so they were using their phones inside the water.
Yes.
There were these thermal baths, and the spa was like all really beautiful, like this sort of classic building, and like I don't know, it felt like you were back in the Roman times in this super decadent.
Right. Yeah.
And they were there on their phones.
I think it's super hard to get out of there, though. Like, it's like a trap to this virtual world. I mean, first of all, it's very dangerous, because I heard many stories where people actually charge their phones. I can't believe that people do that, but they charge their phones in a bathtub and surf. And then every now and then you just hear that
somebody die.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's their own fault then. But listen, it's not about that. It's about that they are.
Sorry. Yeah, it's their own fault. Yeah, it's like trying to use the hairdryer while you're in the bathtub. It's stupid.
It's your problem.
Don't do it.
Very Dutch rational way of looking at things.
It's just.
No, I agree with you. It's just like. Yeah. Or people. Sorry, I'm interrupting. I'm getting a bit tipsy. Sorry.
Birra Messina.
There is this whole thing about mostly Asian tourists who die because they're taking selfies and they fall off a cliff because they're not paying attention. Or
just happened recently in Ireland, didn't it?
At
the cliffs of Moher.
Apparently it happens all the time. Like it's a thing. People taking selfies and dying because they're not paying attention. Yeah. That's how dangerous
I cannot
it
have
is.
many pity with it. I have more pity with the fishermen who catch the fish and put them on the floor and then they die very slowly. That I have more pity with the fish than with the tourists who kill themselves because they're not paying attention.
But the fish would die anyway, wouldn't they?
Yes, but it's a slow death.
Well, they would die maybe slowly somewhere else.
Yes, but you don't know how. Anyway, I'm not want to talk about this. I want to talk about
Let's talk about
tourists will also die eventually.
Yes, because we all die.
Yeah.
But the thing is that is fascinating there is the phenomenon of tourism, and also, but not only tourism. If you speak about in generally about the appearance of this phone where everybody is in this digital world, in this different kind of not present in reality.
Yes.
We were walking, me and Mirka, in the harbor, and then there was nobody, and suddenly we saw two young kids, and they were hugging each other intensely.
It was a beautiful embrace.
Yes, and I thought, and I said to Mirka, "Look how cute!" Yeah. And we were like, "Oh, what cute!" And then we came closer and we saw what they were doing. They were hugging each other, but both looking on their phone.
No way.
Yeah.
Jesus,
anyway, it's just a new look on the street. Yeah. But what I find fascinating is this tourism, and which I find also in a way it's very sad because the people who live on the island, they're very happy. Now they're very happy because the weather becomes better. There's no tourists almost. They seems to be very happy. Besides all the stories we don't know, and besides the loneliness which is also there, they are having in a way a good life. But then tourism comes and they have to work like crazy to feed and to entertain all those tourists, and it's
this kind of weird dilemma between the fact that a lot of people there right now are well off economically speaking because they are making money from this whole tourism industry. But at the same time, there is this sense of a loss of community because back in the day, people were way more connected to each other and anybody on a personal level.
Because they are very connected now, much more than ever probably in the history of humanity, but not really.
Yes,
personal.
exactly. But what I'm talking about now is the inhabitants of the island. So apart from this whole like the whole ethics around social media, phones, technology. No, I'm talking about the island as a place where one of the main sources of income is tourism, and the island as it used to be back in the day where people were poor. They were relying on fishing. They had their own. They were growing their own wheat for bread. They had a lot of agriculture actually on this island. It's a very fertile island, so they had a lot of agriculture, but they had their own community. Everybody was somehow also helping each other out. So if one person didn't succeed in getting enough food, somebody else would give them food, and they were there was a very strong sense of community and of being there for each other. And that also translated in social interaction. So we heard a lot of people who knew how it used to be back before tourism became big. And they have these memories of every night there would be a different place where people would gather, another house where people would gather, and they would play and they would dance and they would hang out. And this kind of disappeared. Because people now are more competitive, because there are these tourists to sort of haul in, and it's not the same kind of community feeling anymore. Wintertime there is very lonely. People who stay there in the winter, they might go weeks on end without talking to each other. One of the people who stays there during the winter, she was saying to us, "Yeah, you know, I would go to the bakery or the post office just to have a conversation with another human being." So it's this sad kind of situation where tourism kind of destroyed. It gave a lot of things, but it also destroyed something that was there before. So it's sad, and like we were saying, we just came back, and there's a lot of things to think through and maybe also to get more informed about. But this awareness of a lifestyle that disappeared slowly and this new lifestyle that came back, and the fact that some people are kind of coming to terms with it and not really happy with it. I don't know, there's that's interesting. I'd like to learn more about it.
But you think this is all caused by tourism, or do you think it also has to do with just natural causes? Because I was actually recently thinking about it myself, that for example in our family when I was much younger, there was a much bigger sense of family and community in the family itself. Like I'm talking about the extended family. And then once everybody got older and they started their own family and they started their own projects, we kind of only see each other now once or twice a year. On Christmas, or like if there's a big event, and not even all of them. And so it kind of, but obviously it had nothing to do with tourism itself, but maybe it's also a natural cause. I'm sure that tourism has a lot to do with it, because it kind of, if there was poverty before, I suppose they had not much to do before, right? So if tourism came in, probably they all of a sudden had to work in certain fields and spend a lot of time doing that, and by spending a lot of time there, they probably have less time to spend with their friends and family.
Well, before they spend, of course, a lot of time in fishing, much more in fishing, and much more in working on the land in agriculture.
So because now traditional jobs
is taking over by multinationals.
So before they were kind of forced by the kind of labor they did to work together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're right that there is different causes coming together,
Of course.
and it's also a bit this chicken and egg kind of question. Like, did the gathering and the social cohesion disappear because of tourism, or was that also already kind of under threat because of other reasons? And then the tourists came in, and then it's hard to tell what happened first or how things connect. I mean, there's also this fact that the men had to leave to work elsewhere.
Oh yeah, right. We never clarified where did they go. Like, they never came back then after they left, or?
Actually, I guess some came back, some didn't, some might. But one of the things that we heard about that I didn't take in account is that one of the reasons that they left is that there was a problem with the trees on the island, of the fruit trees. They caught some kind of disease, and so a lot of the crops and the fruit trees they died, and so they didn't have that resource anymore.
Okay.
So something like that, this specific disease that killed off certain plants, that had a huge impact on the island. So it kind of makes you realize there's this mix of factors and causes, and of course there are some things that happen on the island that also happened on a more global scale, and you can compare them. And then there are these specific events that happened on the island. And yeah, I think we what do you think, José? I feel like we have to learn more, that we don't have the whole picture yet.
No, absolutely. We just get I mean, we were only there 2 weeks, and we were lucky because we hear a lot, because people are very open to us, because they understand that we are there, interested in them, interested in the island, and that brings up a lot of stories. And of course, we got a lot of reading material. We have it's just this little bit of what we see. And yes, of course, we need to have much more insights, to get much more into it. I mean, then we come back for next year for 3 weeks, and then it will be completely different, because we have read a lot, and we have made a lot of work, and all is a little bit into the shadow, because we also don't really know. But I think it's very special, because in this short 2 weeks we with some of the people, like with some of the people we became, especially 2 ladies, we became very close, and they show us our world, no, and even in the contact which we have in the collaboration with the people who live there, which is in a way very superficial. Is right English word? Superficial. Even that, in that kind of collaboration, there is maybe it is on the surface, but still it's something that is special that they show us. I think it's like we are like these creatures who are there, which are in a way kind of aliens, because we are very strange, no? But in a way we are also not there, and they just let us sit on their shoulder and look.
Yeah.
No, that's really special. That's really how it feels, and that is the openness for this. This you would never experience in the big city, because in the big city, we would also meet some people. We would go to organize a workshop, which would be quite boring maybe, and we could organize all kind of things, and we could meet people, which would be a very interesting story for sure. Is possible, no? But we would not be. Almost invisible on the one hand, and almost very alienated on the other hand. You know, that is the special thing about this place. Yeah, that's true.
All right. It's the first time you went to Sicily, by the way. But you've been to Palermo.
What?
Yeah. You've been. I haven't. No. No.
Was the first time?
First time. Yeah. Never been more south than Rome.
All right.
Yeah.
What do you think of Rome?
Of Rome?
Yes, we are in the Pineto Studios right now, in the center of Rome. Well, kind of center.
Rome. Oh my God, I love Rome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I love it. I came here first time I came here, I was 19. I fell in love with a Roman juggler who came all the way to Friesland,
Really?
to the north,
Wow.
to study at the circus academy there. Can you imagine? Yeah, poor guy. Oh my God. Yeah, we fell in love. We lived together in the Netherlands for a year, and then we lived together in Spain for a year in Barcelona. But he grew up in Rome, and his parents lived in Frasso Sabino, some small village in the mountains here. So he brought me to Rome, and he introduced me to Rome. And the first time I saw it, the first time I went to the Forum Romanum, to all the beautiful ruins, it was snowing. Everything was white.
What? Wow.
Yeah.
When was
That only happens once in a 7 year, no?
That's nothing that happens very often. It happens every now and
No,
then.
at the beginning of 2000, end of 90s, beginning of 2000s. I don't remember the exact year, but it was exceptional. Yeah. No, I loved. There's a Dutch writer. I'm not fond of all of his work, but his name is Harry Mulisch. He wrote The Ontdekking van de Hemel, The Discovery of Heaven. I think they even made a movie of this. But there's a scene in the book that's set in the Pantheon.
Okay.
So, and I read it when I was 15 years old. So I had this sort of vision of the Pantheon, and there's a very magical scene in this book happening there. And I remember seeing it for the first time, and I love that build. It's amazing. I look at the ceiling and I feel like I'm not looking at something real. I just have to pinch myself and realize that it's real. So I like to go there. Every time I go to Rome, I have to see it at least once.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes, it's one of the most beautiful buildings you can find in Rome.
Yeah. Yeah. And José is eating the microphone right now.
José is hungry.
Sushi!
Yeah,
right.
We promised to go out for sushi.
Yeah,
after
I think José is starting to eat the microphone. I think that's the time that we should probably start eating some sushi.
Yeah. How are you happy, Salvatore?
I am very happy,
Yeah.
especially if we eat some sushi very soon.
Is there something we
anything we need to say? So yeah.
I don't know. You can promote maybe your projects, your Instagram and stuff.
Yes.
Well, yeah. We are. Well, Mirka is in a very, not only with this project. Mirka is busy. She has also a lot of other things going on. Maybe you can speak a bit about that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So check our Instagram for sure, because we're posting like crazy right now. All the nice things we've seen on Salina. And I think you'll leave some kind of Instagram.
Yes, I will definitely leave all the
something.
links. Exactly.
Yeah.
In the description under the video on iTunes, on YouTube.
Yeah.
And if you're on iTunes, you can. Well, probably for iTunes listeners, you should probably say what your Instagram is. So
right. So José, she has her Instagram under her own name, José Witteveen, which is WITTE. VEEN. I am Mirka Chocolat on Instagram. Chocolat spelled like chocolate in Dutch. So just Google chocolate in Dutch, and you'll find it. And Mirka is with a K, by the way. Oh my God! So apart from this collaboration that will continue, because this was just a kind of research residency. So we'll be coming back, and maybe in the future we can come back and tell you about the results.
Absolutely.
Because the idea right now is that summer 2020 we'll be having an exhibition on Selina. Yeah. So then we can share the results.
Very nice.
Yeah. Apart from this, I'm based in the Netherlands, in Arnhem. I've got an exhibition coming up, a small exhibition from the Museum of Modern Art in Arnhem. They're currently closed, so they're doing all kinds of satellite projects. And there's a small one where I'm going to be exhibiting Then there's the Biennale, which sounds really fancy, but it's the Biennale of Gelderland, of the province where I live.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it's good. It's nice.
Well done.
Yeah, it's nice. This year the Biennale is going to be outdoors. So if you come to the city of Arnhem around October 2019, you'll be able to see 20 plus artists who made some kind of project or installation outdoors, and I'll be there. Looking forward.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
José also has some stuff in the works, right?
Well, I will be mostly focusing on Salina. There is some small exhibitions in Rome, and I work in a place which is a special place, Coyote. It's an occupied space run by all different kind of people. There is a laboratory for photography, a laboratory for silkscreen, but there is also places where people study. So it has all different kind of functions. And with this, we have a laboratory there called Coyote, and the people of Coyote, including me, we also do different kind of things. So we will also present ourselves in activities. No, but I will be mostly focusing now on Selina, but also on experimentating with different kind of media, because I'm mostly working with etching. I already do for 15 years, but now I'm starting to do lino and woodcut, and I want to do more with, which is just, I don't know, it's not serious, it's just trying with sound, trying with installation. You just trying things.
And you're doing some pretty nice photography, which people can see if they go to the Instagram.
Oh yes. Well, that's just also, it's just one big
experiment.
Experiment,
sure.
And it's an easy way, photography, an easy way of sketching. No, both is important for me. It's important to draw. For me, it's important to make pictures. Yeah, and then even more important to talk with people. It's so fascinating to hear all the to dig into the life of somebody, and I will continue with that for sure. Yes, to meet people on the street. And we'll see what I don't know. Life is one big. It's all one big mystery, one big, how do you say it? I cannot talk anymore.
Adventure. You were talking about adventure before.
I
think José is hungry. I think she needs some sushi.
No, I think it's you are almost ashamed, no?
No, I'm not. I'm never ashamed.
I think it's good not to know what is coming, You have those people who plan their life. Oh, next year I'm going to do this. In 2 years I'm going to do this. In 3 years I'm going to buy a house. And then in 4 years I will have 3 children. And then in 5 years I get married. And then maybe in 20 years I die. And then I have to buy my coffin before, No, it's I think I talk a lot. But it's
No. I see what you mean. I already find it.
Maybe next week I'm dead.
But I remember when I started to have appointments, projects, and plans that would go, that would happen a year from the moment that I was writing them down in my agenda, and it's weird. Yeah. It takes some getting used to that you have to plan ahead, and it's nice if you can. A lot of people feel comfortable knowing what's coming. It's nice when you can enjoy the fact that you don't know what's coming.
No, but we don't know one thing for sure. When we succeed in walking the Via de Prenestino into the restaurant where it says Walk Giardino, sushi, all you can eat, that we know for sure that we get some sushi. That are the nice predictions you can.
That's the nice kind of certainties you want in life.
All right. Yeah. Shall we do it?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Mirka?
Yeah.
José, thank you so much for doing this.
Salvatore, thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure. All right. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye bye. Ciao ciao.
Doei. Ciao.